All right, welcome to another episode of The Route, where we talk about scaling your pest control company with everything you need: tools, tactics, techniques, strategies, whatever you need, it's going to be covered here. So let's dive in today. Today, I want to talk about a topic that's pretty important this time of year as companies are getting more busy, as you get more calls coming in, more jobs coming in, it's busy season, more demand, and a lot of companies are thinking about hiring and scaling and building out a team. And sometimes one-man shows are thinking about bringing on their first employee. Bigger companies are forecasting their next hire, and all those questions around building out a team and delegation in general. So I want to talk about when to do it, how to do it, some things to avoid with delegation and hiring, and how to go about it in the best way so that when you do hire and delegate, service quality doesn't drop off. That's usually one of the biggest fears of any owner when they're going to expand their business, is they worry that the thing that they're best at doing, or something that they can control right now and do well, that's going to decrease when they hire someone else. Whether that's close rates, service quality, Google reviews, anything in the business, that's their biggest fear. And honestly, number one, it's important to know that it's probably going to happen. So because you care most about your business more than anyone else in the world, you can't expect that same level of detail or care or service quality from someone who's not invested in the business, which is fine. So you got to lower the expectations slightly, but also on the flip side, understand that if you do things the right way, you can get employees and people bought in that will blow you away with their quality, with their results, with how they show up, with the time they put in. You can get the right people on board. So let's dive into it. First, I think it's important to know first is I would tell any owner, anyone who's starting or currently running a business, I think it's super important to do everything first, especially in pest control. So many guys quickly start their business and they try to outsource and delegate things right away. Like hire a marketing guy, hire a technician, hire an SEO guy, hire all these things out. And what can happen is two things. One, you get 3, 4, 5, 6 months down the road and you have no idea how to do that role, which is a dangerous spot to be in. Now, you can be, if you take it to an extreme, you can be held hostage by those people in your business because they have a chokehold on your business. If they leave, you have no idea how to do those things. So if they're doing a great job, it's honestly not a great thing for you because now they have more and more and more leverage on your company, which is not what you want early on. And number two, if they do a terrible job, now you're several months down the road, you've lost money paying them, and you got to figure it out on your own, and you have no idea how to do this thing. And now you're probably already busy with other things that you were doing currently, and now you're trying to figure that out, and it's just a bad situation. So first and foremost, do everything first. Don't hire too quickly. Don't be too quick to just outsource it and find someone to do it. Do it yourself because that gives you the most leverage in your business and gives you the most flexibility when you hire. Because if you know how to do every role in the business, even at just a basic level, you know how it's supposed to be done. So when you go to hire a technician or go to hire a sales rep or an office manager, you know what they need to do and what they need to bring to the table in order to be great at that role because you've done it and you've been in the weeds doing that thing. So you know exactly what to look for. And it gives you more flexibility because you can bring someone in with no experience who just maybe has the qualities or the traits or the values that you want, but no experience in that role. But now because you know how to do that role, you can train the difference between where they're at and what they need to do. So if you don't have any experience in the role, then you're stuck only being able to hire people who have experience in the role and can do it right from the get-go. So first and foremost, do everything yourself. Do the sprays, do the services, do the admin work, do the scheduling, do the routes, do all the phone calls, do the sales calls, do everything. Put up your website, get the Google page out there, do the marketing, do the campaigns, whatever you need to do, just do it all. And you're going to suck at a lot of it, but that's the point, is you want to suck at it so you can get better at it, but then also so you can know what it looks like to be good at it. So when you hire someone and talk to people, you know, hey, this is what I'm looking for. Like, here's where we're at. I need this done in this role, in this business. So don't think you're too far advanced or too far ahead of doing those little jobs yourself early on. Secondly, there comes a question of who do I hire first? Solo operators are always in this kind of pickle of, do I hire an office person? Do I hire a technician? Those are usually the two roles that people debate because typically what happens is you get close to being maxed out as a technician doing all the jobs yourself, and so you don't have enough room in your time to actively grow the business and be on that side of things. But sometimes you don't have enough money to hire someone. So it's kind of the debate of, do I get all the phone stuff taken care of and so I can focus more here, or do I get all the routing stuff taken care of so I can focus on other stuff? There's debates everywhere about this. I would always say you want to hire a technician first. Several reasons. Number one, the phone system, the scheduling, the routing, a lot of those things, the emails, the things you hire an office person to do, a lot of those things can be done with automations at a pretty decent level, and or done by a virtual assistant in another country. There's people in the Philippines, there's people overseas that you can hire for $6 to $7 to $8 an hour who can do a fantastic job. You can't hire a technician to do that at that rate. So I would get a technician first. Also because that's the biggest leverage of your time initially. Because if you're a solo operator right now and you're getting maxed out with your routes, you're probably spending 20 to 30 to 40 plus hours doing routes a day or every week. So if you can quickly free up 40 hours a week of your time, now all that time is off your plate and you have the most amount of leverage and time to now move the business forward. On the flip side, if you hire a phone person first, office person first, they're going to take maybe 5 to 10, maybe 15 hours a week off your plate, but you're still stuck 40 hours a week doing routes, doing services, and doing all that kind of stuff. So I would for sure hire a technician first and then set up automations and systems and things on the back end of things that can handle all the phone systems, the emails, the reminders, the routing, all that kind of stuff, the billing. And then once that role gets pretty maxed out and you need to hire someone there, I would first look at for a virtual assistant. They can do probably as good, if not sometimes better, of a job than someone you can hire locally. And I think it's the best way to go. So hire a technician first. When should you hire a technician? It's a question a lot of people ask. Number one is you need to know your numbers. So there's no better answer than actually sitting down, looking at your numbers, and making a decision based on data. It's never supposed to be just a feel type of thing, or like, oh, when you have this many hours of your week booked, or when you just feel maxed out, or when you just can't take on another job. Like that's not how you want to run a business and make decisions in your business. So definitely sit down, look at the numbers, and see when can you afford it. And it needs to be a pretty interactive decision with forecasting, because it's not just a cut and dry, do I have X amount in my bank every month? It's more than that. So you want to look at, okay, the technician's going to cost, let's just say $4,000 a month to be just for clean numbers. So for sure you're going to need to have at least $4,000 in profit each month to offset that cost. So you need to look at that first. But second, start forecasting the future and see, okay, if I'm going to pay $4,000 a month for this technician, I can cover it, check. But secondly, what other changes are going to happen in the business? There's going to be more expenses. You're going to need to get another truck, probably get that outfitted, get more equipment, get more chemicals, get licensed, get more gear, shirts, polos, hats. Like there's a lot of other things you don't think of. It's not just $4,000 a month and it's up and running. There's tons of other expenses that go into hiring someone. There's payroll taxes. So be very aware and be very conservative when you forecast these numbers, that you factor in all those things. And then with that too, number two is there's going to be other changes that happen on your side of the business. So now that you have 30 to 40 hours free in your business because you have a technician doing all that work, how much leverage and growth can happen now? So it's not just, can I afford it month over month? That's the baseline question. Number two is, what kind of growth is going to happen now because I can go out and market or sell or advertise for 30 hours a week now? Think about that. So forecast the technician pay, but then forecast the increase in sales, increase in new customers, increase in upsells. Or maybe now that you have a technician that's doing general pest control for you, now you have time to do termite jobs or upsell to wildlife or rodent exclusions or bigger ticket jobs that are a little bit harder to train. So he won't do that initially, but now you can go out and start doing those jobs, bring in more cash and more revenue, and keep moving the business forward. So in a lot of cases, hiring a technician, once you can afford it at the baseline level, it just multiplies upon itself, because now not only is it taken care of, but now you are bringing in more money into the business because your time is spent in doing higher leverage, higher income activities. But when can you know? It's different for everyone. Look at your numbers. Some people have more cash in the bank and can afford that sooner. So that's something to more. Some people are just barely skimming by, and kind of their monthly revenue and then the profit is all they have right now. So that person can't afford a technician as soon as the other person can. Some people have a sales force behind them and they're ready to scale fast and they know they're going to need a technician. Those are all different situations, but in any circumstance, look at the numbers, forecast that, and then make sure you forecast the difference. And when you forecast those added sales, added revenue, added upsells, make sure you're very conservative there, because the last thing you want to do is hire a technician and say, "Oh, I'm going to get a technician and I'm going to sell $5,000 more in revenue every month to offset his cost, and I'm going to be able to afford it that way." You don't want to do that, because you do not want to bank on being able to cover a technician based on like best case scenario in your sales, and you're forgetting all the other expenses that come. Like the added revenue won't go straight to a technician. There's the cost of getting the job done. There's added costs with your vehicle insurance is going to go up. Your gas cost is going to go up. There's all these other things. So don't get caught up in just like A plus B equals C. The best way to go about getting this technician up and running is having systems and processes in place that he can come in and replicate. So hopefully you're doing this at this point now, but if you're not, once you're getting ready to hire someone, or once it's even on your radar, you want to start documenting everything. So how you do the job, a checklist of what you do before you get out of the truck, what you do when you get back in the truck, what you do at the beginning of the day to know you're ready to start the day, how exactly you talk to the customer. Write down the script of what you say to a customer in person, the chemical ratios you mix, all these things that you probably do right now just mindlessly because you do it so many times. Document it now. That's going to make your training process easier and easier to replicate what you do. Because if you don't, you're going to get in a situation where you hire him or her and they come in and now you're stuck on just trying to remember all the things that you do second nature. And it's not, you're going to forget, and then he's going to forget too. So document things now, any script, any process, any procedure, any service report they need to fill out, any checklist, have it all written down and just condense it into a training manual. The other thing you want to have ready is some sort of scorecard or some sort of KPI tracker, because you want the technician, or if you go the office person route, you want your next hire to know what it looks like to be successful in their role. That's one of the best ways that you can have customer or employee satisfaction, is they need to know what you're looking for. Anytime an employee is working in a job, and maybe this happened to you at your previous job, if you aren't aware of what your owner or boss is looking for, it's not an enjoyable workplace, because you're just doing your work and hoping he's happy and not sure, and then come performance review time, you just sit down and hope they're happy with what you're doing. So you want very clear expectations. So I'd recommend having 3 to 4 to 5 key metrics and numbers that you are grading their performance on. And what's important too is those numbers should be in full control of them. So you don't want your technician to be graded on, let's say, how many new houses he can do in a week. He's not the sales guy. That's not his job to do new houses. His job is just to get done what's on his route. Or you don't want an office person to be in charge of how many 5-star reviews come in, because that's not their job. That's a technician's job. There is a balance where sometimes it is smart to have those KPIs and those numbers cross over between roles, especially if the office person is like an office manager and you have them over the technicians. In that case, it would be smart to say, hey, we track you. One of the numbers we track you on is how many 5-star reviews come in, because under them is all the technicians. And so now you're grading the office person on all the technicians doing their job. So it's having a higher leverage KPI to control, not control, but to delegate and ensure that what you want to happen happens at a higher level. So that's a case where it would be smart, but in most cases you don't want numbers or metrics to overlap or be out of control. That will quickly lead to employee dissatisfaction and frustration in their role. So for technicians, things like time spent at the house, or customer reviews, or reservice percentage, or driving scores, or filling out service reports correctly, or being on time. Just think of the 4 or 5 things for you that in your company, with the culture you want to have, with the results you want to have, what are the 4 or 5 things that they can control and will lead to the results you want to happen? So it's really important to think about the things that will lead to the results. Don't always just focus on the result itself. For office people, it can be response time, it could be close rates, it could be retention rates, it can be um, auto pay percentage, it can be different numbers that they can control on the back end of things. But you want your technician to come into the role and have very clear expectations of what you're looking for, what does success look like in this role, and then also a roadmap to do it. Here's your training manual, here are the scripts to use, here's the process to go through, here's the chemicals to use. Set them up for success. You do not want to just bring someone into a role and tell them your expectations and then just tell them to go for it. Again, that leads to frustration and dissatisfaction. And then once they're in the role, it's important to keep them accountable to those numbers. And that's a really nice thing about having KPIs and having metrics in the business is you can step aside and you don't need to do any micromanaging or any nitpicking or following up all the time or looking over their shoulder. You can just look at the numbers and say, hey, here's what the numbers are saying. Last week you got five-star reviews. The goal is 8. How can we get more? Or hey, looks the goal is to have less than 5% reservices every month. We had 10% this month. What's going on here? And the numbers will correct the employee. You don't need to do the correcting. And that's what's nice is then your role can just become praising and thanking and giving credit where credit's due and doing all the positive things, which is a very exciting and positive and reinforcing work culture when the boss and the owner and the head or the manager, whoever's up top, all he needs to do is just show up and be positive and give thanks and credit. And all the employees like working for that person. And then what happens is those numbers and those KPIs do all the dirty work. They do all the correcting. They have all those hard conversations. And then if any situation it happens where you need to sit down and have one of those hard conversations with an employee, you let the numbers do it. You just sit down. Hey, Technician John, it looks like these are our numbers that we need. These are our standards that we have for our technicians. Everyone else is doing great, but it looks like, hey, your reservice percentage, it's off by 5%. Your 5 stars aren't coming in. We're getting more complaints from you. Like, what's going on? And you let the numbers talk, and you let the technician talk. And usually, it'll correct itself. So, it's really important. First and foremost, do everything yourself. Learn how to do it. Then you can find the right people in any regard, any situation. Find the person that fits best for what you're looking for. You don't just need to find a previous technician with 5 years of experience. You can find someone who's done anything else, but you can train them in the role. Set them up for success. Have KPIs, have metrics, have numbers, have training manuals, have a process you go through. I'd recommend doing ride-alongs every week or two, especially early on, and then maybe like once a quarter after that, just to kind of check in, see how things are going. That gives a good chance for you to also just connect with the technician and see him as a personal level. Technicians do hard work, as you know, so just being there with them, giving them credit, and then follow up on those KPIs at least monthly, but for sure weekly too. So you want to give weekly updates, give a weekly rundown of where the numbers are at in your weekly meetings, and then monthly give kind of a big company overview, check back on those numbers. So that's how you should delegate, hire. That's the best way to do it. So once you do hire that technician, he can replicate you in the best way possible. And then you can step out and go focus on scaling and growing or whatever other tasks are in the business that are higher leverage. And just think, you don't want to get stuck in the $10 to $20 per hour tasks. Early on, you should, because you want to learn it and you need to grow the business, get it off the ground. But after being in business for a year or two, or once you're really growing the business, you have several hundred customers, you shouldn't be the one doing those $10 to $20 to $25 per hour tasks. So the invoicing, the scheduling, the routing, the actual servicing, those are things that you can hire for $20 to $25 an hour. You need to be focusing on the $50 to $100 per hour tasks, which are more on the sales side of things, closing, bigger ticket services, rodents, termites, those kind of things. Those are where your time is needed because you can fulfill those tasks and get better leverage and better return on your time. So don't get bogged down. I've talked to owners who are 5-10 years in the business and have a really solid, healthy business that's growing, but they're still doing some of those little tasks they can easily outsource, sometimes to a VA, a virtual assistant, or sometimes to just a quality employee who will do that for $20 an hour. So be smart about your time. Make all your decisions based on numbers. Don't just do it based on feeling. Let the feelings back it up and let the numbers drive it. And then have these systems in place so your employees can scale so they can be successful in the role, so they can be happy working for you, and that'll just create a culture that continues to compound upon itself. More and more people will come to that and be magnetized to it, and a lot of your employees will refer friends, relatives, or people they know to come work for you too. So be smart, delegate, don't do it too quick, don't do it too slow. Follow these steps, and you can replicate yourself and really start scaling a business with people and employees who like working for you. That's what we got for today. Thank you for listening. If you know anyone who's trying to grow their pest control business, who's thinking about scaling, who's trying to hire, send this to them. Leave a 5-star review if this has been helpful for you, and I will see you on the next episode.